Welcome to Hail Varsity Radio, the voice of Husker Nation. Insight, opinion, expertise, with the biggest and best names talking Nebraska across the state. Join the show on Twitter at Hail Varsity and at Schmidt_radio. Call in at 402-466-ESPN or 1-800-825-5865. Here's Chris Schmidt.
Our guys, when they took that lead, hitting the 4-point play, our guys didn't hang their heads. They kept competing, even when we missed a couple more after that. And then Derek makes those plays, and Teddy, finally takes the lid off for us on that last possession.
That is the mayor, and that is the feeling of smiles in the Nebraska basketball locker room. Finally, a win in Big Ten play. Great to be with you on President's Day. Hail Varsity Radio, presented by the Nebraska Lottery. Chris Schmidt, Elijah Herbel in on this frigid Monday. You can join us. Dial us up. Numbers to get in, 466-3776, 466-3776, 800-825-5865. Can email Chris at hailvarsity.com and give us a follow. And find us on Twitter at Schmidt_radio or at Herbal Essence. Load it up. We'll get into some NFL with Jay Moore, Blackshirt Husker NFLer, in about 20 minutes. 1 hour from now, Mr. Blackshirt Charlie McBride will be with us. Mondays with Charlie. And then we'll hear from Greg Smith, Husker recruiting insider with Hail Varsity. So let's get to it. And Nebraska able to hang on in regulation against Penn State, 62-61. And watching that ball game, watch the first half, hunkered down in the basement with the wife and the two dogs. Junior was off pulling a Mallrats reenactment, so he was out at Gateway here in Lincoln. So we had the basement to ourselves. We're watching Nebraska, 35 apiece, and didn't quite see the start where there were 3 possessions, make that 4 possessions, 3 turnovers, and an 0 for 4 start, where I was able to catch the game, is where Nebraska's offense looked flat out great, where they're moving the ball, where they're distributing, where they're swinging the basketball, they're getting great cuts to the rim or driving kicks out for open threes. I mean, it was what you would imagine from a Nebraska basketball offense. And 403 days and 26 straight losses later, Nebraska played about 33 minutes of a 40-minute basketball game and found a way. Now, the last 8.5 minutes, man, we had moved to a place that we can order copious amounts of rum and beer, not at the same time, mind you. But we hunkered down with some friends to catch the second half. And it was straight up, and you know this emotion as a Nebraska basketball fan, maddening, frustrating. Who turned the faucet off with what was happening offensively versus what the finish was like, where you don't score, you feel all right, you're up 11, and then it gets really, really tight, gets really, really tough. And you heard Fred Hoiberg talk about the 4-point play to give Penn State the lead 61-60. And I just lost it. And it wasn't a very crowded bar room, but there may have been an F-bomb or two, because I kind of put the fan hat on. You want to see these guys get a win. You want to see them hang on. And listen, the guy hit the 3. That's one thing. I thought it was a garbage and one call with the 3. I mean, the closeout was a little too close for comfort, yes, but there was no bang that went on. I mean, it was much rougher in the paint where they were letting them play. But some takeaways from yesterday: A, you get the win, right? You pissed it away in epic proportion against Illinois. But that gave this team confidence, and the question was always, how's this team going to respond, Elijah? Are they going to just go through the motions after they let one get away from one of the top teams in the country? I mean, like the team that's knocking on the 1-seed door in Illinois, if you look at the committee's preliminary release. Or is Nebraska going to come out and keep fighting? And this team, man, you can complain about a lot of things with them, with their decision-making, with their turnovers. You can't complain about their effort. You can't complain about their effort since Ohio State. You can't complain about their want to. to go play ball, especially after being shut down with the pandemic and COVID that ravaged them for a month. For them to come out and fight, you expect that, but you don't always get it. And you get it from this basketball team. And Teddy Allen is maddening as he can be with some of his decision making. He paid off for you big time, making a really tough shot for the win. Teddy Allen was nice as a creator, as kind of a distributor, where he was making the right basketball decisions and making team decisions. And then you just absolutely got to give it to Derek Walker because of what I think he can become as a threat in the paint. He's not just a big guy that's there to protect your rim, but he's a hustle guy. And I know he didn't score a ton of points, but he was effective. And the plays he made going straight up on the road, you don't get calls like that to go your way a lot, but he was so good, so locked in defensively to force jump balls or just force turnovers. And then the dive to get the basketball to McGowan's to get a final possession was so key. And then Kobe Webster off the bench was very critical, and he was moving so well and was in such a good rhythm, spaced out, the way he started out from three-point land. Nebraska shot well. Penn State shot awful because of the Nebraska defense. And, okay, you have a team that responded the absolute right way on the road in Siberia to go get a win against Penn State. Teams don't win that often. Even good teams struggle to get out alive against Penn State on the road. So now you head to Maryland here tomorrow for back-to-backs Tuesday and Wednesday. Can Nebraska carry it over? Can they handle some success? And I'm not looking for them to sweep. I would think maybe they've got a little momentum now to where they can maybe split. Maybe I'm crazy, but Nebraska's played well enough to win their last few games. Close against Sparty, close against Wisconsin, right there against Illinois, finally got it done against Penn State, and they needed something good to happen.
Yeah, it's a team that's finally playing with confidence. At least some confidence. Not every guy in the team has full-blown confidence, but I look at a guy like Kobe Webster yesterday. He had confidence. Derek Walker has confidence. Lat Mayen played with a ton of confidence against Illinois, didn't have his best outing against Penn State, but I still think that's a guy with confidence as well, and I think that's a major key for this team. And how I see it is I saw a head coach that even has a little confidence in his team. At the end of the game there, you saw Penn State get, was it 2 or 3 offensive rebounds on their last possession, and you just thought, okay, here we go. Here's
the death punch.
Here's the death punch, and then we get the ball, and Fred Hoiberg had one timeout in his back pocket. Teddy Allen could have advanced that ball up the court. He could have called the timeout. He could have drawn up a set. That's what he's so good at doing. Drawing up a set, getting in an inbound.
You know what happened last time they tried to draw up a set at the end of the game?
And he said, I'm going to have confidence in my guys here. I'm going to have confidence in Teddy to go get a shot.
Or, I'm not going to give him this awesome play for him to screw it up. I can't do two mask spikes in 48 hours and feel good about myself. What was the lesser evil? Just say bleep it and let him go run it? Fred's a free-flowing, move the ball. The last thing he wants to do is be an offensive coordinator as far as having to bark out set plays. And you don't want to do that and then have it not execute like the Illinois game. So, yeah, in that situation where it's kind of helter-skelter, let your guys go do their thing. Mm-hmm. And he did. And Nebraska found a way. Here's a little bit more from Hoiberg. And this was pretty good, trudging through the adversity. And that's the one thing that has bitten this basketball team and this program for 2 years is the losing streak, right? Is what happens when this roster faces adversity. And they, more times than not, don't get it done. After so many near misses the last few games, they finally found a way to get it done, and they made the plays on the defensive side of the ball, and they made just one more play than Penn State offensively. But it's just maddening where you're at that point where you're up 60-49, you're kicking their butt, and then Penn State goes to this zone, it disrupts your flow, and then you start turning the ball over. And Like the great and terrible moment of yesterday was McGowan's pass where, who the hell are you throwing it to, where he gets picked off. And in the same breath, he races back and goes LeBron and rejects one off the backboard to prevent points from happening. But I ain't going to lie to you. I thought they were dead. I thought they were done. I thought it's the final insult. Okay, Friday says hold my beer, wait for Sunday, with the way to lose a game. And I thought they were dead once that 4-point play happened, because the way the offense had been going, where are they going to go? Are they going to let Teddy put his football helmet on and drive to the rim? Are they going to draw something up? Quite possibly could, and find a wide open backdoor cut for a dunk. I thought Banton was really nice and efficient, especially with his decision-making to drive to the rim. And more times than not, Nebraska got really clean shots at the rim. They found ways, and their passing is superb when they want it to be, right? Now, they weren't always great. The turnovers still had 16 in the game. But when they go to that free throw line, or they kind of go around the horn where they pass and cut and move the ball, Fred's offense is good. The guys got, if the guys run it and execute it, it can be really good. That's how you jump out by 11 as you're a 13 to 14 point dog. When they want to do what this offense asks them to do, that's when they've looked best against Wisconsin. It's when they've looked okay to come back against Minnesota. It's when they looked really good against the Illini for much of the game, where they're sharing the ball and they're moving and they're passing. Now, there's still a blindfold and cigarette at the free throw line. That's just is what it is. But their ability to never check out. There's been a lot of basketball teams over the years with Nebraska basketball. If it ain't happening offensively, eventually the intensity and pay attention to level drops horribly on the defensive side of the court. That's not the case, at least it wasn't Sunday with this team. There was a high level of pucker factor too. Don't kid yourself. And they found a way to get it done. But here's Fred on the defensive play. Check that, getting through the adversity of the moment.
I told them we're going to win the game, and that was one thing. I just wanted to instill the confidence in them. Never once did they waver in the huddles. Never once were they pointing fingers or going back and forth. They said, let's continue to get it done defensively, and that's the most encouraging thing, is we didn't let our poor offensive execution in those last 8 minutes affect the way that we guarded them on the other end. And that was the game. I thought we had some really good straight up vertical plays there at the end. And, Teddy obviously hits the huge one in transition, but, Derek was the one that helped get that loose ball for us. This is a good team we played that plays extremely hard and extremely well in this building, and we haven't seen defense like that, and haven't been in this situation much, obviously. We couldn't quite get it done the other night.
They didn't, but they got it done Sunday. Let's go to the phones. Tom's with us at Hail Varsity. Tom, thanks for calling.
Hey, Smitty. Great show as usual.
Hey, buddy. Appreciate you.
Yeah, just wanted to say, you just totally cracked me up when you said about Fred maybe setting up the play for the end of the game there instead of Teddy doing Teddy. I think Fred was like, oh, hell no. After what happened.
Exactly, Friday. You're not going to waste the ink, Tom.
Yeah. I mean, as soon as you said that, I'm dying laughing in the car. Well, it's like, no. He ain't going to set up a play. Not after. You can only throw a mask on the floor so many times.
Well, that's the point. There's a house rule of no more than 2 mask spikes a week.
That's right.
There's 4 games a week from here on out. Hey, man, they got it done, and good for them.
Yep. Love you, Smitty.
Hey, take care, Tommy. Appreciate you. Thanks. Do I call a timeout to draw up an end-of-game play? Remember the Illini. No is the answer. We had time for some Derek Walker praise. That kid's awesome. Just good stuff. Couple of thoughts here from Fred on DW and his impact.
He played for an unbelievable coach in Rick Barnes, and he's a guy that's been coached and can handle it. He can score. We're going to have to, again, when we're struggling like we were, and as I said, we ran a play for him after one of the timeouts. He can score that, and you saw what he did against Indiana that first game back where he got 5 rolls to the rim, and then that sucked in the defense and got a guy like Lat. I think he made 5 threes that game. So Derek, he contributes in a lot of ways. He's still getting comfortable out there after taking almost 2 years off. He had the virus. I think he's struggling a little bit with that as well at times. But he made such huge plays for us late in the game. And I'm happy for him. To have to sit out as long as he did to make the game-winning plays, the game-changing plays there at the end was huge.
Last thought from Fred here on that relief. No?
Just over on time.
No.
But my question to you here before we go is that last play from Derek Walker, did he foul him down low?
I think he went straight up. I mean, like he was straight up, and he was able to get a hold of the ball.
Yeah, I didn't know if he might have got an arm, but I just thought that we didn't deserve that call after that 4-point play for sure.
No, I mean, there's a little basketball karma that happens, but with Walker, I mean, he didn't get whistled for it earlier in the game. I mean, earlier in the second half, he did the same thing where he just stood straight up, and the ball was kind of moving upward as to where he grabbed. And no, I don't disagree with you where
would have been a harsh call, especially in the Big Ten, but
9 times out of 10 you get hammered on the road for that whistle. Jay Moore's coming up, some football thoughts. Hail Varsity continues.
All-State, 2-year starter, and rush in for the Big Red and NFL vet.
Who's Dudeness or Duder or El Duderino if you're not into the whole brevity thing.
It's Blackshirt Jay Moore with Hail Varsity Radio.
Thanks for hanging out. Back with you on a Monday. It's Hail Varsity, presented by the Nebraska Lottery. We welcome in Blackshirt Husker NFLer Jay Moore. His podcast, More to It, with the Hurrdat Media family at JMoore44 on Twitter is where you find him. Bird, have you went out and licked a tetherball pole today?
No, I haven't. I don't know if I'm proud to say this, but I haven't even left the house today. It's been no school today for the little man, and so just been here at home and honestly looking at Zillow at places to live in Arizona or Florida because I'm not sure I can take this any much longer.
Well, if you want to go scout, give Joe Mama a ring, and she's got access to golf and a pool, and it's a wonderful gated community that a week from Wednesday I will be waving at you from. And you'll be waving back with one digit, but, a lot to get into. And, I was kind of moved by Tom Brady being a human with the boat parade and having all sorts of avocado-flavored tequila. I'm sure Gronk got him going. Is there a teammate or is there a moment of celebration that you recall as a Husker with you and your mates where maybe somebody on the squad went Tom Brady? Maybe it was Bill Callahan. I don't know. But was there a Tom Brady moment for you or some of your mates at Nebraska?
Oh, yeah, that was, that's almost every other weekend, when you're in college. That's for sure. It's just depending on what bar you're doing it out of, whether it's the Rail or the Downtown or Brothers or whatever, whatever it was, or someone's house. That was a very regular occurrence in college. That's no doubt. It usually happens more during the off season. During the season, it doesn't happen as much just because you're after a game you're just kind of wiped. And you just don't have a whole lot of time obviously during the week. So that was definitely an occurrence during the winter. That's for sure. Just kind of depend when and where. It was either a Friday or Saturday night during the off season. What bar that happened quite often.
Is there a celebration after a win that comes to mind?
Oh man, gosh, I didn't go out a lot after games. I was toast. It's like Saturday, so I was one of the very few kids, guys on the team that love to play 11 o'clock games because, you get the game over with, right? And you're able to go spend time with your family. You're able to just kind of go and be a college kid and watch football and lay on your butt for a few hours. Those night games or later in the day games, it gets you so tied up with meetings and walkthroughs and all that stuff to keep you, your mind into it that, you almost waste the day, and you get home at midnight. So I honestly, during the season, I'm the wrong guy to ask about during the season. I hardly ever went out. I'd have it maybe go to my parents' tailgate after a game and have a few beers and go get dinner or something like that, depending on the time and weather. But I was ready to go home and crash. It was a long week, and we had to be back. And we worked out the day after games in college, so we had to be up at the facility, and workout started at 10 a.m. So you couldn't really get after it too much on Saturday. There was a few guys that did. Usually those guys that did, they usually didn't play, and so they could handle a workout. But you go in there after a game, and if you tie one on real quick, if that Saturday night, you gotta run and get a lift in and pay attention at meetings. So I didn't rarely went out, but during the off season, that's a whole different story because we have Friday afternoons and Saturday nights to ourselves like any other normal college kid. But during the season, it was hard to, in my opinion.
Jay Moore's with us, Hail Varsity Radio. Jay, let's talk J.J. Watt. Got his release from the Texans. J.J. Watt's best fit is where, and how much gas is left in that tank?
I think a lot's left in the tank. I know I was listening to some sports talk radio the day he was released, and there were who was it? It was I listen to the Dan Patrick show quite a bit. Like they had him filling in. It's the old Oklahoma State point guard basketball player that filled in. Gottlieb, and he was just talking about how he's owned they owe him 17.5, and he's not that good anymore. I'm like, what have you been watching? I mean, that guy is still, that guy has a lot in the tank, a ton in the tank. So obviously, no one's going to pick him up off the waiver wire because that's, once you do that, you got to pick up his contract. So he'll go. You look at, teams who've lost some decent players, in the last year or so, 2 years on the D line. I think about the 49ers. I think they lost DeForest Buckner to the Colts. Yeah. Yep. And so I think that, that could be an interesting spot for him. You always got to look at New England. They pick up guys kind of later in their career where, they're going to get them for a few $1 million, maybe just more than league minimum. And Jay's going to want to go to a team, too. He's going to have all these opportunities. He's going to want to go to a team where he can win and get a championship. He's gotten somewhat close. He had some good Texas teams that made the playoffs, and and it wasn't just last year. They almost should have they could have easily beat the Chiefs and I think the divisional round. But, I look at, so you look at there, you even look at potentially like in Indianapolis as well, or, somewhere he's going to go somewhere he has a chance to win. And, that was what Houston Texans are dealing with right now is just a complete dumpster fire. They're just trying to clean house and just get, starting over, and whether they're going to keep Deshaun or not, who knows. But he has a ton of gas in the tank. That guy is good, man. He is really, really good. He can play any spot across the D line, and you're going to pick him up for, like I said, a few $1 million, and he's going to be just as productive. And now he has a chance to win a championship and not be in a poorly ran organization, and and he's kind of go from there. So he has plenty of tanks. Some will get an absolute, I don't want to say a steal, but he's going to be just fine.
Jay, let's dive into the dumpster fire that is the Texans just a little bit more because Deshaun Watson is still kind of stealing the headlines. He's made it clear that he doesn't want to be a Texan next year. Did you ever have to play with any guys in the NFL that were stuck in a place where they didn't want to play and wanted to get out? And how does that affect your play? And then as a follow-up to that, do you think that Deshaun Watson will actually be a Texan next year?
Man, I don't know. I think so. I think he will be, unless someone comes at him and throws something that's worth, probably multiple number ones. I mean, that's just my opinion. It's going to be a hell of a deal for them to take it, for him not to be there. I don't know who would be willing to do that. Jacksonville maybe. I've heard that. Urban Meyer. I heard him talk that. That's the one recruit. It still bugs him that he didn't land Ohio State, and that was Deshaun Watson.
The one.
So maybe they had the one. So that could be something he throws a look at. But I don't know. It's going to be really special. Looking back at my time, there was guys that that held out. I think Frank Gore held out for a time frame when I was in San Francisco. He ended up getting a new deal. I remember our rookie year. Patrick Willis was the last to sign. That's back when that happened, before, all these slated, rookie contracts you kind of have now. But I think he held out right up until the first day of practice, and he signed that morning. So you have guys that hold out and just want to get their contracts, and they're just doing what they got to do to, because they know their value, and the team knows their value too. They're just, you're just kind of butting heads a little bit and just kind of see who can last the longest. But when push comes to shove, Frank Gore, hell, the guy's still been playing, and one of the best running backs to ever play the game, and one of the best to ever do it at San Francisco, and that's a healthy list there. So, I think Vince Young. I think when I was with the Titans, I was with the Titans for just a few months. I think he was going through some contract negotiations potentially. So yeah, you have your issues. It's your top guys. It's going to happen every year, but. Nowadays that one with Deshaun, that's going to be very, very interesting if somebody could throw, enough. You're seeing what, the Rams gave the Lions to get Stafford. It's going to take a lot for the Texans to give it to Deshaun. I just don't know if there's anyone out there willing to give up that much.
You see this. Do you have a swap in the Longhorn State? Do you have Watson maybe find his way to Dallas and Dak find his way to Houston? And that's probably wishful thinking with both of their contracts, but it's been a 1-year decent deal. The franchise tag with Dak, and I know he's coming off injury, and I think Jerry would love Watson, and Dak's been fine, but Watson, to me, is an upgrade. Jay, about 2 minutes here. 2 quarterbacks I'm interested in. Darnold, is he a product of his situation, or is he just not good? And then Tua. Would you be surprised if Miami moves on from Tua? We didn't get that long of a glimpse of Tua. Fitzmagic did some nice things for the Fish, but do you think Miami's ready to move on from Tua down there?
That's tough. Because Miami was kind of one of the pleasant surprises, with Flores coming in there.
Yeah.
I think this was the second year there, coming over from New England. I don't know. I just don't. Tua knows how to win. That's the nice thing. You get kids from Alabama; they're used to winning, and they know what it takes, and they know attention to detail and doing the small things, and committing to the process, because that's who Saban is. So I think you'd want someone like that. But again, like everything. Right. You always have the saying, like, everything's for sale, right? It just if the price is good, you're going to take some, you're willing to get rid of anything, right? So it just kind of depends on what their conversations are, But I don't know. That's a tough one. But I think Darnold. I think he's a really good quarterback. Adam Gase was a train wreck this last year in New York with the Jets. The Jets that's not a great organization. They've been struggling to find the right guy there. They're always, they can't find the right guy. And I don't know if management has gotten in the way. When I was getting drafted, I spent a lot of time with the Jets, and the GM, and I can't. It's
Tannenbaum.
Thinking of the Tannenbaum. Yes, it was Tannenbaum when I was there, and spent a lot of time with him. I thought the Jets might draft me, but I had a lot of respect for them in that organization. Of course, I was just a young kid, just wanting to get drafted, and was yes sir, I'll do whatever you say. But I haven't heard a lot of good things from guys who have spent time in that organization. So I think that's an interesting move. I think the Jets could deal Darnold and backload some picks from somebody that's looking for a QB. And I haven't paid enough. Haven't kept my nose to the grindstone enough. The free agencies and who kind of needs one, but it's interesting to see what New England has and what their future is going to look like with Cam Newton or vice. So who knows what they could be willing to deal, or someone out there that's looking to get something, because I think Darnold has some good football left in him. He just hasn't been in the right system and part of a right staff to get him where he needs to go.
Jay Moore with us. Jay, be good. Have a week, brother, and we'll talk soon.
Sounds good.
And we're back
Fellas, think we could listen to the radio
on Hail Varsity Radio, presented by the Nebraska Lottery.
Yes! That's awesome!
Some contract news to get into with Nebraska's assistants. It's Hail Varsity Radio presented by the Nebraska Lottery. Still time for you to chime in. And where does Nebraska end up with the win total for Big Ten basketball? Is one and done? Do they string together a couple, maybe three? Hey, maybe they catch Northwestern, who's sitting at 3. They started out on fire. This Northwestern team reminds me of some of Coach Miles' teams that would start out 2-1 or 3-1 and have some wow wins. And then it just got a little difficult for the Big Red. Do have a recruit to tell you about, Keita. And you have a new JUCO recruit out of Coffeyville Community College, a native of Mali, played for the under-19 team, 7'1", wingspan, 6'10", 235, big. Arizona State, Tennessee, Minnesota, and Baylor interested in him. So Huskers get a win yesterday and get a recruit today. So
it's a kid out of Sunrise Christian Academy who we just saw in Grand Island over the weekend at the that Heartland Hoops Classic.
Yeah, that was fantastic, and kudos to Millard West for getting the W. And I know Bell West was right there towards the end, but Blaze Keita, and you got to love the Sunrise Christian kid now who went to Coffeyville and now ends up in Lincoln. I like what Fred's done with the bigs. Like, I know there's some waiting still on Ivan, right? But Ivan will put the work in, kind of transformed his body, really hustles on defense, and is a nice depth guy at this point.
And let's not forget, only 18 years old.
Yeah, I mean, he came in like 16 and a half, 17 years of age because he'd been playing high-level ball in France. Mm-hmm. But when you get Walker eligible, and then Andre is a guy that, man, I think can be really good, who needs more minutes, and from a foul standpoint is still needs to be a little bit more disciplined, but that'll come with time.
I mean, it's weird to think about, but this Blaze Keita kid is 2.5 years, 3 years older than Ivan.
Saw that. Yeah, so he's 18, ridiculous. 19 years of age. Yeah. I
mean, it just shows you how much Ivan still got to grow in the game of basketball. I know he's shooting 43% from the line, but he's an 18-year-old kid.
He is. And let's just be straight. He's not the only liability at the line for Nebraska basketball.
Man, well, that's been an issue last year and this year. It's one of those issues that whenever you're...
It's focus.
Yeah, but it's like you got these guys that you've recruited because they're great shooters. If they're a great shooter...
They're fantastic athletes.
I think the hallmark of the best shooter is that they can also just knock it down from the line. If you got a good stroke, you should be able to hit your free throws.
Dude, it comes down to focus and mentality and fatigue. Mm-hmm. Plain and simple. Free throws are so mental, says the guy who sucks at them. But they are, especially in the moment. You can hit them all day in practice, but aside from...
I can go 7 for 10 at the YMCA, dude.
Sure you can, but let's put some money on it. Let's change the stakes of it. Put some money on it, or if you miss this, the whole team's got to do 10 line drills. I mean, that's pressure. And while you can get punched in the arm by your teammates, it still doesn't compare to end-of-game situation where you got to hit them and make them, or you lose. So Nebraska football getting some ink to dry with the contracts. Let's get you an update as Nebraska football finalizing one-year contract extensions for 9 of the 10 assistants, as well as head strength and conditioning coach Zach Duvall. So contract's now going to run through December 31st of 2022. That's the word that Hail Varsity got. The only coach to not have his extension finalized is Coach Tony Tuioti of the defensive line. So word from a Nebraska official says it was his understanding that the contract's just awaiting a final signature at this point. And right now, Coach T's contract runs through December 31st of 2021. So Here are the numbers. You've got Chenander making $800,000 for the 2021 season. Lubick at $500,000. Greg Austin at $500,000. T. Fisher at $450,000. Ryan Held at $400,000. Sean Beckton at $400,000. Zach Duvall is at $400,000. And quite a bump for Coach Dawson, outside linebackers coach for Nebraska. And he got a bit of a bump to, I think, about $175,000. And you're going, well, what's the deal there? Well, there was a retention bonus in there. And you also had a difference to make up when it comes to the payout for the Giants ending. So, and there's some question, what's the deal? Is Dawson going to take over special teams? And maybe, I don't know. We don't know officially yet who's going to be overseeing that, but you got Bill Bush in town as a defensive analyst who's really good at special teams historically. And you've got a guy in Dawson that has had a good history of that, ran it at Boston College. So the jump is from $325,000 for Dawson to $500,000. And with Tuioti, it's a little odd that it wasn't with the rest of the group, but Tuioti's going to be so key with more of that Hawaiian pipeline, first of all. And second of all, Tuioti's done a pretty good job this last recruiting cycle. Thirdly, you've seen the defensive line play well. Defensive line's been a strength of the football program. You've got Snacks Daniels that's been able to kind of prolong his endurance on the line. You've got Stilley coming back. You've got Ty Robinson that's playing good football. Casey Rogers has done well. I mean, those are four names we've just kind of thrown out there. And you have some more young pups. I mean, you got the Polar Bear that's kind of waiting in the wings. You've got a couple of other JUCO guys, Riley, that you're waiting to pop. And I think Tuioti does a pretty good job of teaching. And the guys like playing for him. And you had high level of productivity from the defensive line. I think Dawson, too, is worth his weight in gold, not only with his NFL experience, but his background in special teams. Can say a lot of things about Boston College football, but they were pretty sound when he was there, and they were sound in special teams. So this was kind of an already agreed upon thing with the Dawson number. They just got to make sure things are okay with Tuioti moving forward to get him extended another year as well. That just doesn't look right when everyone but him hasn't been extended. And if you're Tuioti and you think, and I don't know this, I'm just saying, if you think you need a little bit of a bump, go make your case. And if they don't give it to you, come back at them in a year after your line, hopefully, if you're a Nebraska fan, wreaks havoc and says, where's my money? Pay me my money now. We'll wind down hour one at Hail Varsity Radio.
And now, back to Hail Varsity Radio.
One final time this hour, it's Hail Varsity Radio, presented by the Nebraska Lottery. 10 minutes away, Mr. Blackshirt, Charlie McBride. Charlie's out sleeveless right now, screaming at Old Man Winter. Kind of like Lieutenant Dan was trying to take on the hurricane. It's probably warming up about 3 degrees for Coach McBride, just out of sheer intimidation. Coming up, Greg Smith will check in with us. Recruiting thoughts from Mr. Greg. Can join us at 466-3776, 466-3776-800-825-5865. So win over under for Nebraska basketball. Do they get 2? Do they get 3? Shut up, Schmidt. It's just 1 win. Don't get your hopes up. This is a stretch. Do they galvanize and fight through? Is it ugly tomorrow and then they bounce back Wednesday? You got Purdue coming to town on Saturday. It just never stops, this vicious cycle of big. How about Michigan's win? That was huge for them to go win at Wisconsin after being off 30 days. I think Jawan threatened to take their iPads away.
It's weird, though, but after one Husker win, I find myself like looking forward to watching the game tomorrow night.
How much fireball do you have?
Probably not enough. Maryland, they love to shoot the 3-ball.
They do. They just drilled somebody yesterday, didn't they?
Yeah, and the thing is about Nebraska is we got length on the perimeter. Maybe it's a good matchup for the Huskers, and maybe I'm just drinking Kool-Aid because it's one game, and I liked what I saw yesterday. But
slowly but surely,
I'm seeing the vision.
Their buy-in and listening skills. It's been a slow build. 5 minutes, then 10 minutes, and then a half, and then 32 minutes of offensive sharing basketball. But you still have that lull, and it happens. The lulls happen to everybody. Difference is Nebraska's lulls go 8.5 minutes.
Yeah, I was watching that, and 60-49 comes up and go, you know what? We got an 11-point lead. Maybe we're actually going to get the win today. And I pulled up the highlights from the basketball games this weekend out in GI, and I was watching those highlights, and I finished off both games, both the Millard North game and the Bellevue West game. I looked up and we were still at 60 points, and what happened? What's going on with our offense?
Nebraska ball. Quick reminder about moving, and while I can't promise you warmer temperatures, I can promise you when you mention Hale Varsity to your friends at West Blue Realty, they can provide you up to $1,000 on the closing of your next home purchase. Tom Luby and Kelly Hofschneider, they're there to help with West Blue Realty. Give Tom a shout at 402-540-3768. Kelly Hofschneider at 402-202-2312. It pays to work with West Blue Realty, and they've got some awesome choices and can help you find that residential area around Lincoln and surrounding communities. The other thing they can take care of, too, is the agricultural end of things. Do you have ag land you're looking to move? And West Blue Realty also has the ability to help you with that agricultural purchase. They've got an auctioneer. They can handle anything from live auctions to sealed bids to general land listings. And they've sold land all over the great state of Nebraska, such a large radius, Seward, Otoe, Lancaster counties. West Blue Realty can help you in the city and out in the country. 1120 K Street, Suite 200 is where you find them. Coach McBride is next. It's Hale Varsity Radio President's Day edition, and we're presented by the Nebraska Lottery.
Welcome to Hale Varsity Radio, the voice of Husker Nation. Insight, opinion, expertise, with the biggest and best names talking Nebraska across the state. Join the show on Twitter at Hale Varsity and at Schmidt_radio. Call in at 402-466-ESPN or 1-800-825-5865. Here's Chris Schmidt.
Back with you, it's Hour 2. It's Hale Varsity Radio, presented by the Nebraska Lottery. Chris Schmidt, Elijah Herbel, here on President's Day. And we welcome in Mr. Blackshirt, Charlie McBride. Mondays with Charlie. Coach, what's the wind chill up your way?
Well, the wind's going about 40 miles an hour. It's blowing snow all over the place. Probably sitting about 8 inches. But who knows? The lake's all frozen over. The kids been snowmobiling on them, skating on them. Well, they're skating not now, but they were skating before. So nobody's out today. They got some fishermen, or who knows what they're doing. I doubt if they're out. The wind's blowing too hard.
Well, it's, I think we hit like 36 below zero wind chill here, and I think we've been at 16 or 18 degrees below zero, and it's supposed to get worse tomorrow. So,
I can't. I'm looking forward to it.
Well, I hope it dodges you and some of that.
Well, it's not gonna.
Well, you stay hunkered in with the old fireplace on. How's that sound?
Well, I got what's today? Monday, Tuesday,
Wednesday.
I got a drive Debbie over to get her shot.
Okay.
It'll be ugly.
Well, just
when you get there.
Yeah, be safe and careful as you make your way. Coach, we're into the off season, and I was kind of looking at some of the news that came down, and 9 out of the 10 assistants have had their contracts officially extended, and that's great news. I want to kind of get into one name that you know from your days in Lincoln, and that's Bill Bush. And kind of get your thoughts on Bill. And I know that's a week ago, but we haven't talked to you since he came back to Lincoln. So what do you think of? What do you know about Bill Bush?
Well, Bill's a good coach. I mean, he's been around now, too, and he's done a lot of stuff in the secondary and special teams and stuff like that. So, he's coached just about everything, linebackers. I mean, so he's been around, and he's a good recruiter. And I'd say that's probably one of the things that he does that's really going to really be a plus. He's a guy I'd hire him. Mm-hmm. It's a good addition to the staff, and a guy that knows the area, knows the culture of the people and everything around here. So it isn't going to be a big transition for him and or his wife.
Mm-hmm. That's true. And he's been a pretty special recruiter wherever he's been, and that's when it comes to working for Ed or Urban or Barry. I mean, he's worked for some pretty big time coaches. Right,
and he's been around a little bit, and Bill and I used to talk on the road once in a while when I was going. He was at Utah State at one time, and and then after I got done, I was kind of hunting around for guys for him, and for guys that that he might be interested in. When I was down in Arizona. At that time, and he's a guy that you can count on. He's very fundamentally sound coach.
Charlie McBride's with us on Hail Varsity Radio. So how did Prince Amukamara get on your radar, and is that one of the guys from Arizona you maybe referred to Bill?
Yeah. Well, no, it was. Yeah, it might have been. I don't know who. No, it wasn't. It was one of the other coaches on the staff that was, I think, there at the time. No, I called the head coach and just told them who they were, and they went to them. There was about 6 of them, and I think all 6 went.
Okay.
And 3 of them went to the NFL, and
yeah, they did.
Well, Haig went, and I'm trying to think, and the big tackle. Marcellus.
Yeah. Marcel Jones. Yeah.
Jones, right. And I remember going and watching him. I was with John Reinhardt, who played for us. John drove me over to watch him play, and as soon as he ran on the field, I said he's going to be playing in the NFL. I mean, he was an athlete and a great student. Mm-hmm. He was, I think, a 4.0 student, and he was about 6'6" or so, and could run well and really athletic. You can tell when guys run and how athletic they are. And he was the center on the basketball team.
That works.
Those are the things you look for. You look for a guy that's playing a lot of sports and doing that, and that really help them in their stuff. I know I always liked the linemen that were defensive linemen, especially that were wrestlers and did some wrestling. That helped a lot.
Charlie McBride's with us on Hail Varsity Radio. Coach, I want to switch gears a little bit, and we were talking about Nebraska basketball and the way they finally held on to win yesterday.
I watched it.
Yeah, because I was with some friends at a bar, and it got a little ugly. Oh no! here we go again type, bring another beer. We're going to need it. But the topic of getting over the hump, and you guys had such really incredible years at Nebraska where you're winning 10, 11 games a year. At worst, you're winning 9. And you'd always just kind of battle Oklahoma, and then you got by Oklahoma, and then you're always kind of chasing the Florida teams, and then you finally kind of conquered them. How did you, as a coordinator, keep things positive for yourself and your staff, but also for the kids, knowing that you'd get there at some point, getting over that hump to win it all?
Yeah, well, the thing I think is things have to go right. I think for them yesterday, the good thing was they got ahead by, I think, 9 points, and then went and actually Penn State came ahead by 1, I think it was, and they came back, and just that 1 point and coming back and playing like they did at the end. I mean, they played a million miles an hour. And they didn't give up on any part of it. And I think the problem right now is playing together and, and that'll help. I mean, you don't know how much that win's going to help. That's like 1,000 points. And away from home, is even bigger. So, to me, when they did that, I was like everybody else. Oh, no. Not again, I mean, I'm a fan now. I could do that, but and it was sad. I mean, I thought, oh, that just can't happen to them, and then when it came out, and the ball bounced right, and that's what happens. You start being a winner, and just things start happening right. I can't know what it is. It's fundamentally, it's effort, it's all these things added up. If your head drops down, you're probably going to go. You're going to get beat. But I think, those guys just kept rolling and, working at it and played great defense. Wow, they really played hard on defense. Their shooting, wasn't that great, but they won the game, defensively, I thought.
So do you see any parallels with football? Like there was kind of this exhale after the Penn State game, and you know how it followed up with Illinois, but, does it cross over with different sports, in your opinion, with football?
Yeah, well, it's all the inside stuff, the mental stuff is pretty much the same as any sport, any team sport, individual sports, of course, are different there. But team sports, it's working together and playing really hard. And you have to, people, that old saying, play for each other, and that's what you really have to do. And, there's other things you can add into that, but, fundamental coaching and, the blocking and tackling and, and things like that really help. But I think the thing is if you have the bodies that can do it, and then you're having a rough time, I think that's the time when you really have to, push it. And the players themselves have to really do it. And they made a decision. They're going to do everything they can to win. And I didn't see the Illinois game, but I know that from listening to the guys on the television last night, I could tell that, they had really played hard. And, there's close to a big upset, and they just about did it. And then they got Penn State and, and they got going. I guess they got ahead by 9 and got going good and, played well.
Charlie McBride's with us, Hail Varsity Radio, Mondays with Charlie. As Coach, we'll get you out of here on this. And if you look at the quarterbacks that are heading off to the NFL, and I know Trevor Lawrence had his pro day, and I know he's got to have some work done on his non-throwing shoulder. Would scouts ever ask you about quarterbacks you faced
Yeah, all the time.
How was that conversation?
Well, I mean, they just wanted to know what we thought of their effort, what we thought of their competitiveness. And it was pretty. One year, I was at Wisconsin, and there were 4 of the top quarterbacks in the country. And that's in the Burt Jones era. We played LSU and played him,
okay.
And then we played. I'm thinking we played
Michigan or Ohio State kids.
Well, it was Purdue was
Greasy?
One of them. We played. I think we played the 4 top quarterbacks. Off the top of my head, I can't even remember who they are. But they all went to the NFL and they went high. Burt Jones was the best one, that I saw. His accuracy was and his mobility was way ahead of most of the other ones. Even though they had a guy that ran options, a kid named Lyons that came in the game that ran option plays when they wanted to run a different offense. They actually ran 2 offenses. But Burt Jones, if he got outside the pocket, he could run. And, he was a thrower, and he didn't run much option. The other guy did all of that stuff, and they put him in once in a while just to keep you honest and beat your brains out.
Yeah, the old option side of things, I can only imagine trying to play the option and do so from a discipline standpoint.
I think in general, they just want to know something in general.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many fine points, that you're not looking at their throwing action. You're looking at is the ball being completed.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I went down to North Carolina State one time, and I was watching the quarterback that played just retired.
Rivers, right?
Yeah, and he throws like he's throwing rocks. But I mean, he can throw it. It goes. It's accurate, but it doesn't look good. His throwing motion doesn't look that good. In fact, if you took all of them, I bet you if you took every quarterback in the NFL, and rated them on throwing action, he'd be last. But that's the way. Some people, they grow up that way and they throw that way, and a lot of people don't want to change it. I hear them saying, "Well, you got to change his throwing action a little bit." To me, that's a little scary. If he's an accurate kid, the way he's throwing it, a lot of these guys go to camp,
mm-hmm.
and they get their throwing motions changed then. And then they get into college and then try to change it again or do something like that. That's hard to do. But, if you're young enough, and you can adjust to it, then sometimes the action isn't that big of a movement. It's a lot of guys wind up like they're throwing baseballs and from behind, and it's such
mm-hmm.
a slow delivery that everybody can break on it. But I think the biggest thing is his accuracy, when I would notice that, and tell him, well, I can compare this guy to that guy. They might say, what do you think of this guy? And you played him. What do you think of that guy? I could tell the difference in their accuracy and, their poise and so forth on the field better than you can on the film.
I bet so. Charlie McBride's with us, and that's pretty cool. Let's go talk to Coach McBride about this quarterback we're thinking about. Love hearing that. Coach, you stay warm. You stay out of that wind chill. You stay out of the snow. You stay off the lake. And you be safe, okay?
Well, I'll get my shovel out if the wind goes away and see how it works.
There you go. I'm sure it's ready for you. You take care, Coach. We'll talk next week.
You guys stay warm, too.
We will. All right.
Okay. Thanks for having me. Bye now.
There he is, Mr. Blackshirt, Charlie McBride. I mean, that's really cool to hear. All those years, all those scouts in Nebraska and all of Coach's career. A lot of top quarterbacks he faced. We'll hit some recruiting with Greg Smith next.
And now, back to Hail Varsity Radio.
Thanks for hanging out. Monday edition, Hail Varsity Radio, presented by the Nebraska Lottery. Chris Schmidt, Elijah Herbel. Some recruiting to talk with Greg Smith, and be sure to check out at Greg Smith HV on Twitter, and also HailVarsity.com, where Greg does a Q&A. Him and Aaron Sorensen get in front of the camera. Greg, was that a treadmill behind you?
That is a Peloton treadmill behind me. I'm actually sitting in the same spot now.
Are you really? It's Casa de Greg in his media center. I love it. It is pretty good. Now I got to ask you a food question because I love talking food with you. Junior wants some chicken breast tonight. We've got an air fryer that's magnificent, that Ninja. Do I dare roll the dice that I'll have power later and get my hopes up for a little baked potato and air crisped chicken breast with the rotisserie seasoning? Do I fire that up and then just get shut down about 7 o'clock tonight with maybe some questionable power?
If you don't risk it, you don't get the biscuit left in. So you gotta go for it.
The BA answer from Greg Smith. He says, yes, you do it. Cool. So a lot to get into, and want to get your take here on, we'll call them the Nebraska 5 for 2022. Got Deshaun Woods, of course, from Central, Devin Jackson, Studbacker from Burke, Micah Riley Ducker from Bell West, along with Caden Helms, and then Ernest Hausman, Big E from Columbus. And I know a couple of kids, Woods specifically, will have his final 5 this week. Of the 5 I've mentioned, does Nebraska make the top 5 for all, or what are you hearing, what are you feeling right now with where Nebraska is in on all of these kids?
I would feel comfortable that they're going to make 3 of the top 5 whenever they come out. I think Devin Jackson is also planning to release his top 5 at the same time as Deshaun Woods, because they're very close. And you hear about this, it feels like once or twice a cycle Nebraska is involved with a situation that could be a package deal. I think the next one is Deshaun Woods and Devin Jackson. So I think that their top 5s may mirror each other or have a few similar schools. It's going to be really tough and really interesting, because I could see Nebraska landing in all 5 top 5s. I could see them ending up in 2. So it could be all over the board. And it's really kind of a surprise because we haven't gotten as much time to talk to these guys or to see them as much here recently. So it could go any number of ways right now. I know
the U just offering Caden Helms, and Nebraska's pretty stacked at tight end right now, but guess what? It's the ultimate game changer position aside from quarterback, where we talk mismatches and chunk plays from the tight end spot. I mean, people love using the tight end in football. We'll get there in a moment. You know, where's the competition at for Nebraska? Let's start with Woods from Central. Who is really in on Woods right now outside the area? And these kids are high enough rated, all of them, that we're talking double-digit offers from some who's who of college football. Where's Woods at with the list, and who's pretty serious with him?
Yeah, Woods his is the most kind of interesting his recruitment because it kind of slowed down, unlike a couple of the other ones. But Florida has been involved, Texas A&M, Iowa State has been involved. He's got a slew of Big Ten offers, so he's really got his pick from around the country. But I think Texas A&M, Florida, Iowa State, along with Nebraska and maybe one other school, are a couple of the ones that are recruiting him the hardest at this point.
How about Jackson? Jackson, wasn't that long ago. He was a top outside linebacker, top 2 or top 3 in the country. I know he didn't play last year. That was no fault of his own. Where does he sit on the national radar, and who else? Is Jackson one of those difference maker pass rusher guys off the edge? I mean, is he a guy that Nebraska needs to get?
So, well, yes, he's a guy that Nebraska needs to get because he's probably a top 5 outside linebacker in the entire country. The thing with him is going to be, is he truly an inside guy or an outside guy in the 3-4? So can he be a guy that comes off of the edge but also stops the run, or is he best suited as kind of a sideline-to-sideline inside backer, which would probably mean that he's best suited for a 4-3 outside linebacker? That's going to kind of be an interesting decision for him. But he's also got Texas A&M after him. Jimbo is calling. Notre Dame, I think, is really a team to watch for Devin Jackson. As we know, it's not – Notre Dame is a school, I say this all the time here, that, people around here have no love lost for. But when they call, kids definitely listen, and I think that they're going to be major factors in his recruitment.
Greg, I think back to 5-6 years ago, and to have guys from the state of Nebraska and the surrounding area get this kind of notoriety and exposure to these big colleges, it would have been weird to see 5 years ago, but now it almost seems commonplace. And I think back to last year with a guy like Thomas Fidone, even though he's just up the road in Iowa, still a local kid pretty much. Do you see any of these guys reaching that same level of notoriety as a guy like Thomas Fidone got in the recruiting cycle last year?
Man, it's tough to reach the level of Fidone, but I think almost all of these guys are not going to be that far off. When you look at, I've written this a couple of times, Ernest Hausman out in Columbus, who was, I guess, the most under-the-radar guy that we're talking about here. I mean, he just got offered by Michigan. So, we're talking about guys that are getting major offers. Devin Jackson is probably right now the closest as far as, high profile as Fidone was. But they all have many, many options from around the country. And you're right, this is something that is relatively new to have schools from coast to coast coming into Nebraska, but I actually think that this started because of a few years ago, and really kind of at very beginning stages with Cam Jerkins and kind of how his recruitment went with LSU coming in late, and then it kind of just kept snowballing from there as you had teams coming in from all over for Nick Heinrich and Chris Hickman, and then Xavier Watts coming behind that. So it's just been snowballing to where it's going to continue for the next couple of years as well.
Greg Smith is with us, recruiting hit. Hail Varsity Radio at Greg Smith HV on Twitter is where you follow him. Good write-up with recruiting, and Greg does that for you several times a week, plus his videos sit down. So when it comes to in-state production, how much are guys like Jackson, guys like Riley, guys like Helms watching their future Metro friends or competitors like a Hickman and Heinrich and Betts? How much are they eyeing what they do at Nebraska when it comes to keeping Nebraska in the conversation?
Oh, I definitely think that that's a really big deal and kind of a hidden X factor for Nebraska here in these recruitments. So you have, and you kind of have some analogs here from each position. So if you look at Devin Jackson, a kid that went to his school and came up above him, Nick Heinrich, if he continues to progress like he had, that's a really good thing for Nebraska, provided they stay in this thing. With Caden Helms and Mike O'Reilly, of course, they're very familiar with Thomas Fidone, but remember that A.J. Rollins is from in town as well. James Carney from their town. James Carney is from the state. And both of them, I think, it caught their attention that Nebraska was utilizing the tight end more. Deshaun Woods is always going to be in-state lineman to look at as well. And then Ernest Hausman can also look at Heinrich or any number of linebackers, too. So I think that can definitely help, depending on how those guys are utilized and if some of them can break out. And then Xavier Betts as well. Should have mentioned him at wide receiver. That will always help, too.
Greg, a thought here with Tuioti. I want to go to the contract talks, and 9 of the 10 assistants extended another year. Of course, you've got Dawson getting a bit of a bump, and that's more so a previously agreed upon number with part of a retention, and then the Giants, what he was getting paid from the Giants running out. So when it comes to this waiting game right now, what do you make of it with Coach Tuioti?
Did a little bit of checking. I would not panic on that one. I think we might just be waiting more so for a signature, and they didn't have his at the time of them releasing everything. So I would not make too much of Tuioti not being included on this run. And
that's big because of what he can do from the Polynesian side of things, how well he's recruited tremendous athletes, in the Utah region or even the islands. I mean, Nebraska, am I wrong? Is that going to be more of a focal point for Nebraska moving forward, trying to get out west and even further west?
Yeah, absolutely. And you have to give that time as well, which they did here over the last 2 years to really build up to what they did this year. And I think they'll continue to try that. But also what he was able to do with that defensive line on the field. Remember what we were talking about this time last year was losing 3 starters from the defensive line. And that defensive line was pretty steady throughout the year outside of course, the one game in Illinois that everybody kind of didn't show up for. That defensive line, I think, outperformed expectations. And that can really be attributed to his coaching.
Last thought, Greg, I know the question you're going to tackle is development and, of course, the expectation side of things. And give me a thought on your end with what the fan base wants versus reality. Got about a minute left for kids getting on the field early in their career. I mean, that's the one for all parties, but it's not necessarily reality in college football today.
Yeah, it was actually really interesting, and I was surprised when I really looked into it because I think we go through it every year where it feels like fans are clamoring for these young players to get out there and more of them to play and play sooner and really make a difference because you heard about them during recruiting. But when you look at it, Nebraska has actually done a really nice job on average of getting those guys out there on the field, whether it's their first or their second year. Because remember, a guy like Bryce Benhart, who was very highly recruited, as an offensive tackle is probably not going to be ready to play year one as a true freshman, right? If he was, he would be Turner Corcoran the very next year or 2 years from there, which is also a great sign for Nebraska. But if you look from that 2019 class, I think the top 4 guys from that class have all played already as either freshmen or redshirt freshmen. Xavier Betts, along with Corcoran from the 2020 class, were basically starters last year. And then before that, you also had the Wan'Dale Robinson group, even though he's not still around. So plenty of guys are getting on the field. I just think that people are always ready for the youth movement when things aren't going well. But the facts don't actually bear out that Frost doesn't play young players, but he just wants to make sure that guys are ready on average before they get out there.
Yeah, you can't blow up their confidence early and maybe not get them back. But, I mean, Miles Farmer saw great minutes before he got hurt. Ty Robinson was big time really early.
Britt got on the field early.
Cam's money. And then you're right with Betts. And then Heinrich, when he's been healthy, along with Reimers. I mean, they've been pretty big time. Greg, Garrett Nelson's been running wild for a long time. Greg Smith's with us from HailVarsity.com and magazine. Greg, stay warm. Thanks for the time. Good to chat with you today.
All right, thanks as always. Put a blanket on.
You too, man. There he is, Greg Smith from the media chair.
Chime in 402-466-ESPN or email the show, Chris@HailVarsity.com.
Just try me.
Back to Hail Varsity Radio.
Okay, friend of the show, Will Compton, has thrown a gauntlet down when it comes to food combinations. He, along with Mr. Luan of Bussin' with the Boys, chili and peanut butter sandwich to dip. I will fight anyone over this combination. So we've got the vintage cinnamon roll and chili. But I got a look from Elijah Herbel about this combination of peanut butter sandwich and chili. You're not feeling it? Have you tried it?
I haven't tried it, but I'm not the biggest fan of peanut butter in the world. Like growing up, I may have been the only kid who didn't actually like PB&J sandwiches
because you overdid them as a younger youth, or what?
I have no idea. I just didn't like the mouthfeel of peanut butter.
Did you just end up getting the crunchy versus the creamy, and it just beat the hell out of your mouth?
I don't know. I just stayed.
It's okay.
It was just jelly sandwiches growing up. I don't know what it was about peanut butter.
You just did jelly.
I just did jelly. And I wonder why I was fat.
Meanwhile, Elijah Herbel's wearing husky-sized jeans and killing people at offensive tackle.
The jelly sandwiches, man.
Just give me more jelly.
They're great for bulking, man. No, but
I just did jelly.
I wish this was
that's so
not
good.
true. This is just I I'm ashamed of it now.
No,
but
don't be.
But I came home from the store last week and we was like, "Do you get more peanut butter?" I'm like, "No,
I didn't buy
more peanut butter, but more jelly."
What are you talking about?
So the peanut butter sandwich in the chili is, it's probably going to be a pass from me. I just stick with. I mean, people
don't do peanut butter, but if you were to, you wouldn't do it with chili.
Yes, I do it with like chicken, peanut butter chicken. I can do that.
Like Chinese?
Like Chinese,
yeah. That's good.
But I will say, like, I have really come around on the actually dipping your cinnamon roll in the chili. I used to just be like the nice like complimentary dishes. I've actually come around on the dip in the chili or the cinnamon roll in the chili, and I think that's okay. But peanut butter sandwich, man.
Here, and I may have to try this next time my brother-in-law, Uncle Andy, does his chili, and then just report back to Will Compton in the world of Twitter. And if he says it's good, see, there are combinations you never, ever thought would be incredible. And rest in peace, P.O. Pears. That place did the Jiffy Burger. And that is where you get their amazing burger with a little cheese on top. And then you get your pickle and your onion and 2 slices of bacon, but they would put peanut butter on the burger. And you're like, no. And then you try it and you want more. And then you make a beeline for it because it was so, so good. Where you've got your normal burger and then they fire up peanut butter. No ketchup, no mustard, no mayonnaise, for the love of God. You just have your red onion, your pickle, your cheese, your just greasy bun, your bacon, and then your peanut butter. And it still is phenomenal, and it really is hard to replicate. It's that good. So I know you're not a peanut butter guy, but go see Coach Larson at some point in his watering hole, and because they've got one there.
See, they always Honest Abe's. Honest Abe's always comes with some goofy burger combination that always end up turning out great.
They nail it.
Oh, it's just
they nail it. I've never done the apple pie with cheese on top. Have you ever tried that?
No, I've just come around to putting American cheese into my ramen noodles.
Not familiar with that.
Just if you're making like a bowl of ramen,
I am not.
FYR, it's a great college meal on a budget. But I found I found the suggestion online. Just put 1 slice of American cheese, like the Kraft singles.
Yeah.
Put it right on top, and it like melts in. Like it's not like it becomes cheesy ramen. It just like kind of adds to the broth of the ramen, and oh man, it's good.
So Junior's in his ramen phase, and that's his deal. But
bring home some Kraft American cheese slices for him.
Yeah, he'll feed them to the dog, and that'll be a problem in the basement. I'm good. But this kind of just popped up on Twitter about Will Compton threatening to fight anyone who says no to peanut butter sandwich and chili combination. I was just wondering if anyone out there had tried it. One of my favorite movies is Thank You for Smoking. And in it, the guy who plays the sports guy in Anchorman, Whammy, that guy who does
Paul Rudd?
No, it's not Rudd. It's the bald guy that is very very unprofessional with his appearances in The Office.
Yeah, and then in Anchorman 2, he's got the chicken place, but it's actually a bat
fried
place.
Bats. Yes, yeah. So, but he's eating at a cafe with the characters in the movie, and the main character looks and says, "Dude, what are you doing? Cheese on apple pie?" He's like, "It's American. I can do whatever the hell I want," was his response. And I've never tried that, but I hear it is pretty good. The cheese and the apple compliment. Sorry, we got off on a food tangent.
As we tend to do.
It's all right. It's all right.
I mean, it's like it's one of the best things in life.
No, it is. It's good to talk food. And I'll say this, like I know some of us love barbecue sauce, but give me just dry rub ribs. I mean, to get the rub to stick, you got to go with a little hot sauce or yellow mustard.
The yellow mustard's
the yellow mustard for the pork, the hot sauce for the beef. Mm-hmm. But I'm just not a big sauce guy with ribs, baby back or St. Louis style. Just let me dry rub them and pat them in.
Hot take. I prefer my ribs wet, sauced up.
Okay.
But my wings are better with the dry rub.
Oh, really?
That is where I love.
That's your flip?
I think whenever you deep fry the wings and it gets like the crispiness on there, it's good. But I much prefer it just like on a flat top with a nice dry rub on it.
Okay, I got you.
Undefeated. I think
there's our 8 minutes of food discussion. Now I'm like hungry to eat everything. Okay, let's get into a little bit of football talk, and we spent some time talking recruiting with Greg Smith a moment ago. But you know, a guy that we're all kind of interested in to see where he fits is Heinrich Harbor, kid out of Kearney. And still pretty young at the age of 17. He's an early enrollee. And you see his size, you see his mental makeup, and he's a guy that can make plays for you. And he's got a really nice relationship, and he's been working with Fedoni for a while. And there's going to be some eyes on Harburg, and you just wonder, all right, Kearney, Nebraska, love it. Very proud to be an affiliate, and I love visiting Kearney and seeing my guy Doug Duda. But if Harburg's in Texas, he's probably like a 4-star. Right? And we've just laid out the Nebraska 5 for 2022, where more places are infiltrating. And in all honesty, I mean, you had a number of guys.
I mean, not even if Harburg was in Texas. If Harburg was playing in Class A in Nebraska, I think he's a 4-star.
Well, and he still got good looks from some Power 5 schools in Kearney. It'll be good to see what he can do this spring. We'll wind down on Monday, next on Hail Varsity Radio.
Miss us?
Come here, brother. Give me a hug. Bring it in for the real thing.
We're on call for you. Catch the podcast at HailVarsity.com, the ESPN Lincoln app, or download them on iTunes.
Saddle up, partner.
Back to Hail Varsity Radio.
One final time on a Monday, and many thanks to Greg Smith for joining us, recruiting recon segment, Mr. Blackshirt, Charlie McBride, and Jay Moore to talk some offseason NFL. Tomorrow, Rick Kaczynski back with us, Mitch Sherman from The Athletic, and we'll spend some time as well with Rick Pizzo, Big Ten Buffet. A reminder about buckling up. Nearly 70% of people in fatal crashes in Nebraska are not wearing a seatbelt. If used properly, a seatbelt can reduce the risk of fatal injury by up to 60%. Your best defense in any crash. Buckling up, brought to you by the Nebraska Department of Highway Safety Office. So we settled the steak in a beer bed from Friday night, where I had Nebraska in the points. And we'll not have any hoops tomorrow night. I'm very sad that there's no Pius in Southeast, which I completely get with the wind chill issue being what it is. Scheduled tonight, Virginia's at Florida State. Baylor was supposed to be at West Virginia, but that is postponed. Jalen Johnson, one of the top players for Duke, has opted out the rest of the season. So that's no good.
So I guess the bigger question tonight is how low you setting your thermostat?
You know, we have like the coldest room in our house is our bedroom, not literally, but figuratively and literally, both. And for whatever reason, that place is just an ice box. Even when when the showers go in, it just ultra steams up because of how chilly it is. The rest of the house is great. Probably the warmest room's a spare bathroom of all places. And right by the sinks where one of the heat registers are at. So, you're getting the kitchen cleaned up. You can stand there and your feet are warm. But we have a super thick comforter. But we have some electric blankets somewhere we may have to fire up.
I don't know. I mean,
I'm not touching mine. Sorry. I mean, I think it's
Mr. Moneybags over here.
No, well, no, I'm not. I'm going to get punched in the face with the fireplace, because it's a gas fireplace that she leaves on just to burn money. So that thing's always on.
But it sure does look nice.
Well, it does. It looks good, but no, she'll turn that damn thing on in the summertime just to piss money away.
Yeah, I might be going down to 60 tonight. I don't know. And the problem is I sleep in the
I'll
basement.
offer to keep her warm and be met with several death threats.
A cold shoulder. Ha ha.
Okay, don't tip your waiter on that one. You have Texas, Oklahoma later in the week. We just need March to get here, post Super Bowl, and you're waiting. You're waiting for spring baseball to get rolling. You're waiting for basketball to get rocking.
Waiting for the Big Ten to release a baseball schedule.
Dude, that's so bad.
Thought it was coming this weekend.
Nope. They're securing, and Sharpie kind of nailed it for us with the Round Rock and then U.S. Bank Stadium. Got to do it. And if you're going to bubble guys, so be it. And the way things have been going online, like with you today, did you have half of your stuff online? Classes?
Everything was online.
Yeah. So tomorrow, more thoughts on the Big Red. And we'll get through it with Rick Pizzo, Rick Kaczynski, Mitch Sherman. Thanks to Elijah, Chris Schmidt. Talk to you tomorrow at 4 on Hail Varsity. See ya.